Paul, tip us off here. What happened to the Clippers last night, please?
I'm gonna tell you, Skip. This is one of the more interesting cases of a team in the NBA. It's so mind-boggling. On one hand, you see one night they look like they can beat in the Western Conference Finals, and then another night they stink up the gym.
I agree.
It's like this team is so moody. It's almost like a front runner's mentality.
Yep.
When things are going well, they go well. When things go bad, obviously when you look at the last game, they go up 30, things going great. And then things go bad all in the same game.
They did.
I just don't know, just mentality-wise, who this team is. It's like, I don't understand the highs and lows from James Harden. It's like they've taken on his personality.
They have.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
He goes.
I agree.
They've taken on, like, he goes for the 33, and you're like, all right, he's going to turn the corner. He's going to turn the corner this year. Mm-hmm. And then when I look up, he just has 7 points. It's just such a discrepancy from his highs to his lows.
Yep.
It's like there's no in between, and we see this year in and year out, and I can't put my finger on. I don't know if it's a mental thing. I'm just not quite sure. And I thought they would play better not having Kawhi out there because they look like, all right, maybe the chemistry is better without Kawhi.
Yep.
So now going into Game 6, do we need Kawhi back? Should we rest him? How's the knee? So many questions are going to need to be answered. And look here, if they lose Game 6 in the first round, it's going to be a lot of questions. Just like we got questions about the Lakers, it's going to be some questions about the Clippers because, James hasn't signed an extension. Paul George hasn't signed an extension. Kawhi has. And I would have thought, like, when Kawhi signed it, then you would have signed Paul George to line those two up. I mean, you got to really say, dang, is this a team that we want to bring into the Intuit Dome next year, or do we want to rebuild?
Good question.
Do we want to explore trading Kawhi? Because it just seems like every year we're dealing with injury issues. Yeah. I mean, there's just so many questions surrounding this team, but moving forward, I got Dallas winning in 6. I think going home, Luka's going to be great. I think Kyrie is going to be great. And it's just, I don't know. The moody Clippers, I can't trust it. I can't trust it moving forward.
I hear you.
So I have the Dallas Mavericks really closing this out in 6.
What happened, Skip, right?
Yeah.
Well, first you start with Paul George, and you start with James Harden, and then you can end with Westbrook.
Yep.
Right? I mean, that's basically your two stars were 4 of 15 shooting in the first half, and they only added 12 points. That's your stars. Then you start to think about, okay, well, our second engine off the bench in Westbrook keeps things kind of going. Well, he never got going to keep him going, so therefore the second unit never got going. It was just a all-around bad performance by them. Then when you flip to the Dallas Mavericks, you say, well, what happened? Well, what happened was Luka's what happened.
He happened.
I mean, when he dropped 35 on you, and he started off slow, and then all of a sudden he got cooking, and it was like, oh, God, here we go. Offensively, there's never been any question marks about his offensive ability to score points and perform at a high level. 14 to 26 shooting.
He loves going into that building.
He probably maybe
he also loves playing that team.
He probably loves playing the team, going into the building.
Yeah, it's just big numbers.
Something about him when he plays against the Clippers. I don't know what it is. It's just every player has that.
He doesn't.
They have a team or two that they just go off on in sports. So when you look at it, they lose the second. They lost every quarter. But the second and the third was their demise. Yep. Second and the third quarter, Skip, is all of a sudden they wasn't getting back in it. They hadn't been shooting the ball well, and by the time Paul George knocked down those threes back-to-back, the game was over. It was pretty much out of reach, and they had no answers for Kyrie. Kyrie was a magician with the basketball. They turned the ball over 13 times. You get 13 turnovers, Skip, you're not going to win.
No, I mean, you can live with 13.
No, that's a lot, man.
Not more, though. You can... 13, I think average maybe like 12. Like when you start getting 15 and 18 turnovers, like
but they were turning the ball over at the wrong time.
Yeah, at the wrong time does make a difference. but you can live with that. But I think they defense dictated their offense. When they couldn't get stops,
They couldn't get no stops.
It discouraged you on the other end, or when you or your offense may discourage your defense. It goes like that in basketball. Like you're not making shots, you're putting your head down, and then all of a sudden the other team just keeps coming back, capitalizing on it. And that's why I said this is like a front runner.
I'm not ready to give up on the Clippers just yet. I'm just not ready to say, oh, they're gonna lose when they go back, because it's something when it's basically elimination game. It's something to dig deep for, and hopefully they can dig deep and bring it back home for 7. I'm not ready to just say it's over with.
Yeah. All right. I'll admit I was shocked by this outcome because I thought it would be a shootout. I thought it would be a battle royal, and I thought it'd be scratch and claw to the bitter end for both of them.
Absolutely.
And I like Dallas, but I only liked them a little bit. And you like the Clippers, and I think in your heart of hearts you thought maybe a little bit, by a last shot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And to Paul's point, when I look at a Clippers team that led game, whichever it was, won by 29, and then whichever game it was by 32, Game 4, I guess it was. And then this is pivotal. This is it. Usually these series are won and lost in this game right here, this Game 5. And it boiled down to this. Luka was mentally tougher than the 3 stars left on the Clippers. He had a big-time game. I got to tell you.
No, he had a big game.
And I always tell both of you, I don't know what to make of injuries because I don't know how hurt anybody is. At this time of year, you can argue everybody's beat up a little bit.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
TNT reported before the game that at shoot-around, Luka couldn't even push off on his three-point shots when he was trying to shoot them during shoot-around because his knee was so sore, because it is sprained, and I do believe it's sprained. But I couldn't tell last night once he got cooking, to your point, as he said after the game, once the adrenaline kicked in, I was fine. He also had some upper respiratory something where he's blowing his nose the whole time and he's sniffling, and when he spoke after the game, he was definitely hoarse. So I don't know. We've all been sick. Does it matter? You just tough through it and forget about it? I don't know. So he's got a little bit of double jeopardy going on, and then he gives you that. And I got to tell you, I was impressed by that.
Yeah.
Because he does not like these people on this team. And it goes way back to his rookie year. He had battles with these guys. I know the team has turned over dramatically, but last night in the second half, especially in the third quarter, when he scored 20 in the second half, but he had 14 in that third quarter when they just tromped him. And he's making shots and running over to the Clipper bench and talking about it. And he's going right down the line. And there's some veteran stars sitting on that bench, and he's pointing to every one of them. That was for you and you and you. And then it got so bad at the end, his last shot that he made was a little shot in the lane. And Keyshawn, I know you've never been completely sold. You have respect for him. But listen, last night, I got to tell you, he's looking at Terrence Mann and then Westbrook and Norman Powell, whoever was trying to guard him. He had that look of disdain where he just looked, he dribbled the ball off the floor and just looked down his nose at him like, you? Seriously?
Like, it's an insult that you guard me.
You?
Yeah,
I'm insulted.
I'm insulted.
I'm insulted. You're going to try to guard me? Seriously?
That's disrespected.
They didn't have an answer for him on the defensive end.
They did not.
I didn't see this coming because the way he was laboring in the last game, he couldn't even move the last game.
He couldn't move. I don't know if he sucked it up, or I don't know if he's sandbagging and playing possum and then just trying to set him up. I don't know, because I don't know how hurt he is.
I couldn't believe this performance.
Keyshawn, we've
in the first quarter, he wasn't. I mean, he missed those 3 threes.
He did.
Then he was okay. He wasn't.
He was just okay. I understand.
It was like, oh, he's going, if he don't turn it on, he's going to have a bad game. Then all of a sudden, the second quarter,
in the last game, he couldn't move.
He couldn't move, especially on defense.
Like, he couldn't move on defense, and his shot, he didn't have no lift. Like, not that he has lift anyway, but I couldn't believe that he would come back.
He got a dunk last night.
Going through what he went through and had this type of performance.
I think he had a dunk last night. He got a little one of them Paul
like
Pierce finger in the rim type dunks.
One of those.
I was way over the rim at that
could.
age. At his age, how old is he?
Hey, 25.
Oh yeah, I'm like this much over the rim. Come on.
You're 6'9". You gotta be that big.
We're the same height. Me and Luka the same height.
We're the same height.
I just want to skip. I just want to see the product finish.
I know you do, and that's
all.
fair.
I just
And
wanna see the product
I respect
finish.
that. I respect it.
You
But
know?
this was a big deal last night, and he
Yeah.
played a big time basketball game.
Absolutely. When the other
Right.
guys that are big time players
Yeah.
didn't do
That's
well.
why I got more
Yeah.
faith in Luka than I do in the Clippers. It just seems like
But we've seen him, just like we've seen them, we've seen him have a good one, then a stinker.
no, not a stinker at this level because Luka's his last game was a stinker. You know what? He had 22, 11, and 9.
Yeah.
Not a 7-point stinker.
No, that's if you giving me a 22, 11, there has to be a medium in all of this. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't go from 30 plus to single digits or even.
don't know what-
You got to give me like a mid type
Yeah.
of game. Like, all right, you had 20 and about 10.
Yeah.
You know, so
But the one thing that their offense, one thing that Dallas's defense, to their credit, is they really have kept the Clippers scoring down.
Hey.
I mean, they
listen,
really have.
I know we talk about this, but these Dallas Mavericks play defense.
Yeah, they do.
That was suffocating last night,
Yeah.
and they took it up about 2 notches last night. I looked up, middle of the fourth quarter, I'm saying, wait a minute, the Clippers got 80 points. Are you kidding? And they wind up
Yeah.
with, what, 93? I mean, you hold that team at home under 100?
Even Kyrie
Yeah.
was up. Even Kyrie was pulling his shorts all up.
He was.
up underneath.
He was getting
him.
up in him.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
up
no,
in him.
He was.
No, they
Okay.
did. They made them drivers, made them kick, and forced the action on them on the defensive. I
Yeah.
thought Lively, he was key.
He is lively.
He was lively
Yeah.
out there, forcing, picking up on his man, altering shots,
Yeah.
blocking shots. These key pickups, I don't know, between Gafford and
P.J. Washington.
and Ively, and I mean, P.J. Washington, these guys, I mean, this is like exactly what you need.
Right, and I'd forgotten about Derrick Jones Jr.
Yeah.
Remember he won the dunk contest.
You got a great athlete who could knock down some
he
threes
he
for
did
you.
last night. He
Yeah,
made a
I
couple,
mean,
and
this-
then the X factor was Kleba, who made 5 threes. Every time he put it up, I'm like, it went in again.
Man, I'm telling you, I can see this team, if they get past the Clippers, which I believe they will, they could be in the conference finals.
Yep.
Because if they have to match, if they, they're going to play OKC.
They would.
OKC don't have no experience in the playoffs, so they can easily, just out-experience them. They're happy, they're the number 1 seed, but they haven't had no adversity yet, OKC.
Yeah.
So I can truly see the Dallas Mavericks facing either Minnesota or Denver in the conference finals. And you get a guy like Luka in the conference finals, he's good enough to push you into the championship.
He would be. All right. I've told Keyshawn again, I've told Paul. I just can't trust James Harden. I mean, he can give you Hall of Fame one night, and then he gives you that. He's 2 of 12, 1 of 7 from 3.
That was a Paul Pierce on the Clippers game.
God.
That was a Paul Pierce.
Yeah.
That's what
And again, remember, this is it, man. This is a not do or die, but it feels do or die for the series because now obviously you have to go back to Dallas and face a closeout game 6 there. And then Paul George, he just sort of didn't show up last night. He's 4 of 13. He did make 2 out of 6 threes. And then usually Russ brings energy, and he brought energy last night, but it was a lot of negative energy because he couldn't make a shot. So he goes 2 of 11, 0 of 3 from 3. And just, I was going to ask for it.
Every
but-
single three that he shot, though, when it left his hand, I knew it wasn't going in.
Yeah, there you go.
Because you can look at the trajectory. You can just look at it.
Yeah.
One was so damn hard, it went on the other side of the basket.
Hey, and Paul was talking about this just before the show started, and I'm going to bring it back up. But there was a time back in Oklahoma City when Russ could make free throws.
Yeah.
And he had a KD-like deadly mid-range game
did,
where he
he
could just
did.
go up and make those 8-footers and
did. I don't know.
10-footers
I
and
don't- yeah, he
12-footers. And he's lost all his faith in his own shot. He never was much of a three-point shooter.
No.
And now they just dare him to shoot it, and you see him, and he hesitates for a second, like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it this time.
It's like
He
we
goes
seeing all
out.
these old guys, they losing their superpowers,
Yeah,
Skip.
yeah.
They losing their superpowers.
And yet, James Harden, we've seen him this year. We saw him down the stretch of Game 4. We saw him last year against your
Boston,
Celtics when he had 45 in Game 1 and 42 in Game 4. And then the last 2 games, Game 6 and Game 7, he shot a combined 7 of 27. I don't know. Like you said, he's moody or
His game
he
is
comes
very
and goes. It comes and goes. And you don't know what to expect from him. And now, would I be shocked if the Clippers went to Dallas and won? I wouldn't be shocked because I
They've
think
won there before.
Hey, have they? Yeah. And do I think Kawhi will try to play? I think he will try to play. And now I think they will say, we need you, big guy.
I think I'll be shocked if they've got the win in Dallas again. Again, I don't think they win 2 in a row in Dallas. I truly don't. I mean, after this, I mean, how do you walk away from getting blown out by 30 to all of a sudden turning it completely around? I mean, you went from losing a 30-point lead, which you could have lost that game, to getting blown out by 30.
Yeah.
So as we look at it, the last 6 quarters have favored Dallas in a row.
Oh, like wipeout favored Dallas.
Yeah, the last 6 quarters of basketball, Dallas has pretty much dominated.
Because remember, I told you guys in that game 4, they were up by 32. The Clippers were, and then Dallas goes on an 83-49 run and went ahead by, what was it, 2 on the Kyrie Magic shot that he made. And then Paul George made that huge 3, and then James just kept making floaters over, going by Luka.
Yeah.
And that was that. But when Jason Kidd said after the game, we look back on our 83-49 run, and we thought, oh, well, we got it.
They found something offensively. That's what it was. If they could just play a lick of defense, that's it. They said, if we could just play any kind of defense, we got them, because he's unlocked the offense since the second half of the last game.
Yeah.
And going home, I feel like you thought Luka had adrenaline on the road. Oh, he's going to have it at home. So I expect the same thing out of him. I don't expect Kyrie to have 14 points at home, Skip.
No, I don't either.
And you know what? To the Clippers' credit, I don't expect James Harden to have 7 again, or Paul George. So I think we're going to see an old-fashioned shootout in Game 6 with Luka Doncic putting on a show, and we're going to have some dramatics at the end, but I eventually think Dallas is going to walk away with the win.
Yeah, I do too. What if we have a repeat of this in Game 6? What if the Clippers just don't show up? What if Kawhi does try to go and he can't go?
Then they got some decisions to make.
That's what I'm getting. Yes.
Some decisions to
They
make.
got some decisions to make if they lose. There's going to be a lot of decisions being made in all of L.A.
Once again, you got an owner. You get these get-rich-quick owners like a Matt Ishbia in Phoenix, and it's like when it doesn't happen immediately, he's like, what's wrong? Because I can make money like that. Well, Steve Ballmer's worth a whole lot of money, and you know and I know if they go and just stink it up at Dallas, he's going to say, what am I doing? What am I throwing all this money at here? Like, is it possible they'd say, let's just try to blow this thing up? Because they can let people walk, and they could trade Kawhi if somebody would take on that money. They could start over.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the reasons. I think this playoff run was really going to dictate what they did contract-wise with George and Harden. I truly thought they would sign George right after they signed Kawhi, because they've been in together. If you're trying to compete for a championship,
Did they offer him and he just said no?
No, I don't think they gave him an offer, or they're up for extensions, because you re-signed Kawhi to an extension. So I think you want to line up these 2 guys who are around the same age, who you can grow with into the next arena they're going to play in the Intuit Dome. But when they didn't re-sign Paul George, I was like, I wonder what's going on. So now you come to this playoff run. If you lose in the first round, I'm not sure you want to throw this type of money at George and Harden. But you signed Kawhi. So what direction are you going in? It's going to be, are you going to say, hey, Kawhi, we're going to rebuild?
Yeah.
But Kawhi, you're a little bit older than a rebuild situation.
He is.
And so it's just a little confusing. So maybe they re-sign George, and then, I don't know, maybe do a sign and trade with Harden based on what happens in this playoff run.
Yeah. Paul George is going to have other suitors. A lot of people are going to throw a lot of money at him.
In the same building.
Yeah. Maybe. Sixers, Heat.
Yeah, there'll be some teams that'll be looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm puzzled that they wouldn't extend an offer to him. And if they did, maybe he just said, let's just wait until the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to congratulate Kyrie Irving on his mentality last night, because, remember, it was Luka who said after Game 4, I feel like I let Kyrie down, because Luka, as you pointed out, put up good numbers, but he thought he had a terrible game,
He did.
all told. So last night, the script gets flipped because right away, Kyrie has a runner up high off the glass with his left hand. And I think, oh, that's pretty good. And then he gets a right-handed putback up high off the glass. And I said, uh-oh, is he looking at 50 tonight?
Right.
And then he shoots a 3 and misses it. And he shoots another 3 and misses it. And then he shoots another 3 and misses it. And then, to your point, Luka started to heat up. And Kyrie, extremely willingly, you could just see, he said, oh, it's your night.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure you got the basketball in your hand. And I'm going to play defense, to your point. And I thought Kyrie played a really good all-around basketball game while deferring in large part to a co-star. And it's not Kyrie's nature to defer to anybody because he's, as we know, he is super-duper star. And to have that kind of chemistry and trust with each other, it was beautiful to watch.
They can win a lot of games that way, though.
They can.
Well, Kyrie
If
understands.
Kyrie is not doing his part on the offensive end, and then all of a sudden he finds another way to participate.
He did.
And that was playing defense.
That,
you know?
that was winning
What y'all got to
basketball.
remember is Kyrie understands how to be the co-star if your star is at a level like this.
Yep.
You know, he played with LeBron and won
did.
a championship.
Yep.
And you can say the things that Luka is doing is LeBronish.
Yeah, it
You
is.
know,
No, true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he understands how to play the co-star, when to take the back seat, or when Luka says, here, it's your night, I'll give you the keys. And so when you have that understanding, when you're playing with that type of talent, it could go a long way.
Yeah.
You know, he understands who he is, and there's not no arm wrestling or no tug of war going on between them two, then everything is fine. And that's why this last half of the season, they've looked amazing. Second half of the season, their chemistry has been amazing.
I got it. So both you guys grew up out here in L.A. watching Clipper team after Clipper team just fail and stink and fail and stink. And all of a sudden, when I thought they had all their superstar power, that happened.
I go all the way back to Bill Walton, Benoit Benjamin, Derek Smith, Michael Cage. I can just go on.
You're going back to the curl.
Darnell Valentine.
To the curl days.
Ola Wakandi.
No, Ola Wakandi. I wasn't in. I was a pro then. Yeah, I was a pro. But I'm talking about when we was getting free tickets from the police station.
Sports Arena.
Yeah, Sports Arena days.
The curl was still in.
Danny Manning. Freaky Ron Harper. Yeah, all them. I go back to them days.
Well, this felt, sort of suspiciously like
it was
that.
a very, I must say this, Donald Sterling-owned type team last night.
It was Sterling-esque last night, unfortunately.
Oh, man.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.